The queens all walk into the workroom without Alice. The four all look around for her and Sylvester asks where is Alice. Eventually she walks in wearing sunglasses and a feather boa. The others look at her confused and Alice says since everyone wants to act all diva-like she will match their energy too.
I mean everyone in this competition is acting like clowns with how they all fight each other. I knew there was gonna be drama, of course I'm not stupid. So why not join the petulant club with Lemmy and Sylvester?
Xinyan compliments Alice on her workroom attire and she thanks her, the tension in the room seeming thick as everyone just seems quiet. Forrest pipes up and asks how the queens felt after the last challenge.
Looking around the room the energy is awkward, which I'm surprised it hasn't been like this, but I guess the feeling of only 5 girls in room does a number on someone. I'm not really up for all this bullshit, but if they wanna act up and keep quiet we won't be winning Emmys, but maybe peace and quiet will be fine.
Sylvester rolls his eyes and says it was what it was and now it is a new week. Xinyan laughs and asks if Sylvester wins another mini challenge will he accidentally hand her another win? Sylvester flips her off and says he'll send her home, causing laughter amongst the group.
All shade, Sylvester truly is the weakest link here. It's a mystery how he didn't go home during Snatch Game. Well actually Mithra and Mimi were really shit, so maybe it isn't that gag worthy, but even then he truly is the cat with 9 lives and not in the cunty Janet Jackson way he thinks he's giving.
I'm not interested in what Xinyan is trying to shade me about. We don't even know what the challenge will be and she's already talking shit. I'm not entertaining her delusions like the judges do each week. She isn't the reference, she's the girl who uses the references created by others.
Alice then turns to both Forrest and Lemmy and says she was surprised how well the two did. Forrest smiles before saying that he knew he was gonna do good. Sylvester rolls his eyes before Alice says she's more surprised on Lemmy's part. Xinyan then leans in and says he's a damned liar for saying he isn't a dancer, causing more of the group to laugh.
So what if I lie? They know now, and let's be real, I'm not some fucking lip sync assassin, but if I were anyone here I'd be scared to be in the bottom against me. Which will be impossible because I'd rather be caught dead and maybe with Nikolai in really ugly outfits than lip sync for my life. So embarrassing.
Lemmy giggled and simply says may the best beast win before pointing to the workroom TV, and the workroom TV turns on, blasting the alarm. The other four look at Lemmy and Forrest said that's some freaky Annabelle shit. Alice then says Stella better announce the challenge before someone speaks in tongues.
Hello my queens. 5 remain, isn't that a gag? Well, I'll save the challenge for later. First let's get on to the mini challenge where you'll be dressing up as mannequins. Best drag mannequin king wins.
Honestly, what gagged me is that Sylvester was able to dress a mannequin better than he dressed himself on the main stage, which is a surprise for the Brick of the season who somehow made top 5.
Sylvester wins the mini challenge.
Another mini win? Thank you, and I'll take another one. Maybe it's Stella trying to make up for the robberies I've gotten the entire season and I'll get my win here.
Hello my fierce 5 queens. As you know, throughout this entire competition we've been testing your charisma, uniqueness, nerve and talent. This week we will be tackling all that and your ability to create a new family member, because we will be having a makeover. I'm sure you all want to know who you will be making over, so please give a warm welcome to Team Star. Team Star is a drag house in the Palthia region, but most importantly drag kings. That's right, this week you will need to not only create yourself a look inspired by drag kings, but you also will need to make over your partner. Luckily these bitches know what they're doing, so they'll be able to help. Consider this our drag king makeover.
Drag king makeover. Well, this isn't ideal. I've been looking forward to the makeover challenge, but girl, I'm a drag princess, not a drag king. Not to say drag kings aren't valid, but this just isn't my style.
Sylvester, since you won the mini challenge you will be able to assign the makeover partners and your own. So make this decision matter, honey, because this could be the make of your makeover or the break.
This will be a challenge. Luckily, since I happen to be friends with Sylvester, dare I say his only friend here. Hopefully he will do me a solid and give me someone I'd kill to work with, like maybe that fierce one in the boots or the tall one.
Oh my, this will be interesting. Well, I think for my partner I will take the iconic Aerie. I like her vibe, I love a competitive bitch. I'll give Ortega over to Xinyan, as you can tell they have a very similar style.
Oh, so Sylvester is shady like that. I guess he wants to play games, but oh well, trust and believe Xian Nation Mother dear will figure it all out, because Mother does know best.
I think I'll hand Giacomo over to Forrest. I think he needs a new style to his drag. The cuteness won't cut it, sweetheart.
Oh, that's not. Sylvester is pushing his luck. I'm already dreading this challenge, and of course here goes Sylvester to make my life harder like he usually does.
I'll lend Atticus to Lemmy. I'm sure opportunity of opposites attract could work here. And I guess Mela is left over for Alice so she can take her.
Atticus, I guess I can't say Brick because half of his face I can't even see. I do like his vibe, however I think I can work with this. If anything, I think he has the aesthetic most closest to mine, so Sylvester can suck it when I win.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of just getting what was left over, but Mela looks cute and she was the one I wanted. I like to think I have the mug of the season, so in my mind this should be my challenge to win.
Then my queens, along with your partners, you must serve a drag king family resemblance on the runway. We want to see the full family fantasy, and yes, you yourself will be transformed into drag kings, so good luck and don't fuck it up.
The queens and their partners all split up. Alice and Mela sat at a workstation, with Alice spending the first few minutes trying to get to know Mela. It's a bit awkward at first, but Mela opens up more and the two fall into easy conversation and start working on ideas for their looks. Alice asks Mela if she has any criteria for the look she wants to add, and Mela says she'd love to have some sort of unique silhouette, preferably if it came from their shoes. Alice looks interested and hands Mela her sketchbook and asks her to draw up a design.
Mela is definitely a talented king. She is also actually fun to talk with. This would be a lot harder, but luckily since we both have great eyes for fashion, not to mention she has a sickening style, who knows, maybe I'll walk away not only as a first-time drag mother and with a new drag baby boy, ha.
Mela hands over Alice her design and Alice looks over it and asks if Mela could grab some materials and fabrics while she grabs a sewing machine. The two run off to get the materials needed and Alice quickly starts sewing the concept look together while Mela starts adding unique fabrics and detailing to 2 pairs of boots.
Thank God I brought thigh-high boots, haha. I'm so glad to have Mela's help for this week. I obviously am not a drag king myself. Her take on drag is something I'd love to incorporate in the future. Who knows, maybe Angelo Angel will make a starring role in some new movie I'll be doing.
Xinyan and Ortega are sat together working on their looks. The pair very quiet before Ortega speaks up and says it would be unique if they did a opposites attract type look where Xinyan takes on the more soft pastel route and Ortega goes full rocker. Xinyan nods and says she would love to do something like that, but she's not sure if it would relate to a family resemblance. Ortega then says if Xinyan made it this far, she should know how to paint a mug to the point where they at least look similar.
The more I start to talk with Ortega, he keeps pissing me off. Something about his attitude just isn't my cup of tea. His idea is cute, but sweetie, I don't need to be read by the judges just because we don't wear the same outfit. But like he said, I made it this far, I can find a way to figure it out.
Xinyan says she understands that, but their looks have to be cohesive and work together as a collection, not 2 separate looks. Ortega rolls his eyes and says it's not hard to figure it out and walks off to grab a few fabrics. He then grabs a sketchbook and sketches up 2 designs. Xinyan takes a few seconds to look them over in size before saying she'll go with the idea.
That twink tried it, but he's lucky. The idea is cute. The best I can do to make the 2 looks at least look like a pair is mix and match the fabrics. It's weird not trying to make a dress or something along the lines of that, but luckily Ortega isn't full masculine, and if anything he seems to lead to more of a genderfuck fantasy, so that'll be easy to use. I know it'll look good. I'm just worried that at this point the judges will be nitpicky.
Forrest and Giacomo are together, Forrest seeming to be a bit on edge as the two are working together. Giacomo asks if Forrest has any experience working with drag kings. Forrest says he has no experience, so he's a bit scared to fuck up because he's been doing good up to this point. Giacomo nods and says that it's fun the more you get into the full masculine fantasy, but Forrest says that's the problem because he isn't used to being full masculine and if anything is actually afraid to do so.
Well, yes, my drag is very high femme and glamorous. It's also how I hold myself in life in general. I've had complications with my family just with my identity alone. It's not that they don't accept and love who I am, but it's definitely caused some, well, I wouldn't call them arguments, but disagreements with my own father. Being masculine is just something I just don't see for me ever.
Nods and says if it means anything it took him a while to Giacomo nods and says if it means anything it took him a while to adjust to his type of drag he does, but all it takes is just a single push to be successful for one challenge. Forrest thanks Giacomo and continues to work on their runways and even finishing one of them. Shocking Giacomo, he asks if he can do anything to add details and Forrest declines, saying he knows what he's doing when it comes to design. Before the two laugh.
Really, the only thing keeping me from basically breaking down is Giacomo being here, because I at least need to make sure he has a fun time being here, because I don't want to be remembered as that one drag queen that cried when it came to drawing a little facial hair hot. The more our looks are finishing, I'm starting to feel slightly more confident, which is an upside.
Sylvester and Ari are sat together as the two work on their looks, with Ari making small accessories. Meanwhile, Sylvester is making the actual garment. Ari asks if there has been any drama this season before laughing and saying there obviously was, and Sylvester says yes, there has been many drama and he's been in the middle of it. Ari side-eyes him and asks if he's been the aggressor or the victim. Sylvester pauses for a moment and says it's been a mixed bag of both, and Ari says it's weird to her that he's been both aggressor and victim, and then says there has to be more than he's letting on.
Okay, wow, I didn't think Ari would really care this much about the season T other than the challenge. When I mentioned causing a few fights, she didn't seem exactly pleased. If anything, seemed to be put off.
Sylvester says all he's doing is keeping the girls in check, yet they refuse to think he's correct. Ari rolls her eyes and asks if Sylvester is keeping the girls in line or just being a cunt just because he isn't getting the spotlight he wants. Sylvester pauses and face cracks, staring at Ari. She then says she knows what the answer is just by his response alone. Sylvester scowls and says it doesn't matter since at the end of the day he'll be winning the competition. Ari then says that isn't the attitude to go about being a bitch. Sylvester then gets furious and asks what the hell does Ari know if she's only been here for 2 hours. Ari then says she knows it isn't right to put others down verbally just because he feels like it. She then slams the accessories she was making on the table, breaking a few of them, and then says he can finish the outfits.
Who does this brat think she is? She walks in for a makeover challenge and gets her 10 minutes of screen time and suddenly thinks she's a bad bitch. Like I care what that beast thinks. No wonder why she's a drag king, because even as a woman she still has the broadest shoulders I've ever seen. Not enough padding could save her.
Meanwhile, Lemmy and Atticus are sat together, Atticus mostly silent while Lemmy takes over the conversation and being loud. Eventually Atticus gets fed up and asks if Lemmy is constantly always acting like a joke or is he just doing a bit to get him to like him. Lemmy stares at Atticus and Atticus then asks if there is anything Lemmy actually takes seriously. Lemmy pauses for a bit before saying there's a few things, but those things aren't something he'd tell to a total stranger. Atticus then says if the two want to have a good showing this week and not only look like family, they need to act like it.
I fear Atticus gagged me just a bit. I'm not one for sharing my secrets, but if Atticus is right and I can get him to trust me on a personal level and we serve the true house of Koopa Gobo fantasy, maybe we could snatch me a win.
Lemmy grabs a sewing machine and starts to sew, but Atticus says he can take care of the sewing part while Lemmy talks his ear off, once again getting a laugh from Lemmy. Atticus takes the sewing machine and starts to sew. He then looks at Lemmy and tells him he can start. Lemmy then says he's barely talked about his identity with being trans, especially when it comes to his family or even new drag family. Atticus nods and asks him how he feels being a drag queen that happens to be trans mask. Lemmy thinks for a moment and says while yes he loves being himself authentically all the time, he mainly doesn't talk about himself being transgender because it caused a huge fight back home in the Koopa Kingdom. Atticus stifles a laugh and asks if it got physical, and Lemmy starts giggling and saying it in fact did. As he said that, Atticus starts to laugh, saying he didn't expect someone as small as Lemmy to get into a full physical fight.
Being trans is one of the best things that honestly ever happened to me. I'm not scared of people thinking less of me for it because I can back up the shit I talk. If that club that banned me for fighting has anything to say about it, haha, I dragged that cunt to the floor and I met my drag father just in the same night. I think my identity shows that I don't just do drag because I do it because I have a true love for the silly art we call drag.
Lemmy continues to talk as Atticus blankly tells him to shut up because he finished his outfit and the two need to do their makeup. Lemmy looks at the outfits and thanks him. He then says get prepared to become Lemmified.
Hello, welcome to the main stage of Cartoon Drag Race Holland. I'm Stella and I'm your host. Tonight I challenge my queens to make over their very own drag son and themselves to serve Drag King Drag. Now then, let's meet our judges. First, our permanent judge, the Season 1 champion Pave. How are you, my dear? More importantly, how's your makeover partner from Season 1?
Surprisingly enough, she's still very much my drag daughter and is performing in New Horizons tonight. Unfortunately, I can't be there because I'm stuck here in the low light of my career in a drag competition because a mediocre drag queen is hosting and I was crowned by someone with talent.
Well, that's surprising considering how you are a very unfit mother. And tonight our extra special guest judge, the clown of Haldia, literally and figuratively Quaquaval.
I'd take the shade if you actually had a win, or just a placement above 7th boots, sweetie.
To win an actual lip sync. Sweetie, whose dick did you suck to make top 3?
Oh, that's classified. Let's be real, I dragged the queens I lip-synced against, and now I'm here? That maybe being a lip-sync assassin isn't a good thing.
Lip syncing more than once doesn't get you the win.
Alright, you bunch of bottom silence. Let's let the judging commence.
Lemmy Koopa and Alice Angel had a great performance.
Tonight on the runway I went from Alice Angel to Angelo Angel haha. Me and Mela are walking down the runway in full cowboy get-up drag to the cowboy hats to the insane boots. We're giving a full high-concept cowboy duo to steal all the trade with these lassos. I think we both smashed it out of the park when it comes to selling the look, but I like to give myself extra props for the fact I drew a full beard and mustache on the both of us, almost pushing it to camp.
Walking out the runway, me and Atticus are wearing these gowns with a lovely neon drip effect that elevates the silhouette. Atticus helped me create these lovely beards that almost reach the floor, and he also helped me make these really camp hats that make us look like really cunty and hot radioactive clowns. We're fully painted in neon clown drag, it's just the best of both worlds.
First, Sylvester the Cat and Xin Yen had a good performance.
Walking out the runway, I think me and Ortega are serving it. He's dressed in something more eyewear, he's got the spikes, the dark colors. Meanwhile I'm in this very twinky Coachella outfit, I might add it's very pastel and bright. Hopefully the judges get what we're trying to do, because if not I'm getting red.
Tonight on the runway, me and Giacomo give a reference to end all references. He's dressed as the very lovely tuxedo mask, and I'm giving what if Sailor Moon was actually a grinder bottom. I noticed some interesting looks from the judges, I just pray they don't look majorly in the details.
Me and Ari walk down the runway, and that tall beast is very scary when she's mad, but that's besides the point. This week I've constructed some obviously fake muscles on myself for the camp of it all, and I made some very lovely tuxedos that we both slowly lose as we walk down the runway.
Then I would like to thank all of the guest kings in the room today. You made this challenge actually doable, haha. Now then, let's start critiques with Sylvester.
Sylvester, I've watched you throughout this competition, but tonight I'm a little let down. Once again, the looks themselves are fine, a bit basic, but fine. I get the feeling it was more of a performance piece than anything, but at the end of the day this is the makeover challenge. The look matters, it just lacks in comparison. I don't hate the look, it's a nice suit, then you lost parts of the outfit and I was just a little bored. Throughout the competition you've been on a downhill sprint, and looking at you from episode 1 to now I'm just thinking what the hell happened.
Moving on to Lemmy.
I'm gonna be nice for once, mainly because this look gagged me. First off, this makeup is probably my personal favorite. As y'all know, I do love me a circus, and when I hear of a Snatch Game winner, pretty face doesn't strike me, but here it does. The actual look is very fierce, I love this effect. I don't know you from nobody, and honestly you kind of scare me, but this is surprisingly cunt.
Oh, good critiques from Quackwavel? Oh, absolutely, I'm kind of gagged. I did as good as I did. Actually no, that's a lie, I knew I'd clear and the judges were surprised, for some reason.
Continuing with Forrest. Well, I'll start with the fact the looks are very cute, the accessories and the cohesiveness add to the family resemblance, but when I look at Giacomo I do very much get drag king, but when I look at you Forrest I'm getting very much cop out. You have a skirt, the femme mug, and I'm getting more. You just had to throw on a wig that didn't fully give Sailor Moon cosplay, instead you just grabbed some blonde pussycat. I could argue for a more feminine drag king, but it's still very queen.
It's great. I didn't expect dread this challenge as much as I did, and honestly I feel a little disappointed in myself. I've been riding such a high until now. I'm just hoping I can see it to the next week at this point.
Continuing with Alice.
Alice, usually every time you walk out on the runway you do certain weeks where you fully switch it up, so we aren't expecting the same thing, and this is an excellent example of that. The idea of space cowboys is so camp to me, and the way y'all sold it was great. The looks are adorable and you actually look like a drag king. This was a great week, my love.
Maybe if I get enough support Angelo the Angel will become real, haha. It's very close to see who could win this week, but I know I'm at least guaranteed Final Four, which is kinda insane if I get the win, that is, but there's really only one person I think could take this from me, and that damn turtle did it once. I'm not letting it happen again, huh?
And finally Xin Yen.
Xin Yen, I'm a bit bored. The looks are not my personal favorite, but the cardinal sin here is the fact that neither of you look alike. At least with the more uglier ones they look alike, but here I don't see the family resemblance, which is in fact the main challenge. I'm not a seamstress by any means either, but some pieces of the look just look rushed and a bit put together last minute to at least try and have cohesion and family resemblance.
Okay, wow, definitely not something I wanted to hear this week. I fully thought after last week where I got my win everything would click, but oh well. What the hell does Quackwavel know? He didn't even do a damn makeover. I don't care about his no drag knowledge mouth.
Now then my kings, this week we've made our decision. Lemmy Koopa, congratulations, you're the winner of this week's challenge. Alice Angel, you are safe.
Oh motherfucking period, a bitch deserved this, make that one number 2 ladies. I'm looking at the bottoms tonight and there's 2 really good performers who happen to be my best friends, which he sure sucks, but Sylvester is there, so I'm not nervous for them.
Another top placement, thank you. It's not a win by any means, which I would have preferred, but I'll stay happy I'm in the final 4, but let's be real, who's surprised, haha.
Which means Forrest, Sheen Yen and Sylvester. I'm sorry my dears, but you are the bottoms of the week. Forrest, you're safe.
Honestly, in that moment all the weight in my body just left. I was sweating bullets. I'm not trying to lip sync when it's for going home, maybe a lip sync for the crown now that I will lip sync too.
Unfortunately, this means, Sheen Yen and Sylvester, I'm sorry my dears, but you are up for elimination tonight. I challenge you two to serve us a lip sync to hit "M Up Style" by Blue Cantrell. Good luck and don't fuck it up.
Girl, I do songs like this whenever I have to perform at the big clubs to get the good tips. Sylvester isn't gaggy to me. I've been waiting to send him home after his constant harassment of me. By Sylvester Lackluster.
Sheen Yen isn't ready for me to slay her. I do classic songs for a living. I was like in the start of my career when this came out. Don't even. She's going home whether she likes it or not.
Sylvester had a great lip sync. Sheen Yen had a good lip sync.
I'm watching this lip sync and I'm getting my life. Sylvester and Sin Yen are giving the energy that's needed, and then tragedy strikes. Sin Yen's wig goes fucking flying like she's bald and that thing is stuck in the rafters. I'm not even watching the lip sync anymore, I'm just watching the wig.
Well, I've made my decision. Sylvester Shantae, you stay. Sheen Yen, my dear, I see a star in you and I know you see it as well. The punk rocker of season 2 you'll always be. The legendary rocker of Leeway. But now Sheen Yen, I must ask you to sashay away.
The 4 all walk into the untucked lounge, both Lemmy and Forrest clearly upset by the elimination of Sheen Yen. The 2 hug before sitting down with Alice and Sylvester. The queens congratulate Lemmy on his win. Lemmy smiles and says that this was one of the funnest challenges of his entire Drag Race career and probably best moment. Sylvester says he was honestly gagged by the craftsmanship of the lip. Lemmy smiles and thanks him. Alice stifles a laugh and Forrest asks why is she laughing. Alice says she's just gagged. The 2 are actually getting along, causing some laughter from the others. Sylvester says after the challenge and his small argument with Ari, he has taken a few moments to reflect and decides that final 4 Sylvester is his new leaf. Lemmy then says his new leaf because his older leaf was at the start. His old leaf was him being a raging drag beast and his new one is him running for Miss Congeniality. Forrest says that will be hard when half of the competition is just him being a bitch. Sylvester scoffs and says God forbid a queen tries to be nice. Alice giggles and says she's just happy they're having untucked like a group of seasoned sisters instead of acting like high school bullies with drink pouring. Lemmy says that can all change in a matter of seconds. Alice nods her head and says she agrees before drinking most of her cocktail and pouring the rest of its contents. Lemmy then splashes his and her and the 2 start laughing. The other 2 start laughing with them and pour their drinks on whoever is nearest, causing the final 4 to all be soaked. Forrest then says it's the final 4 and anything can happen. The 4 all hug before Untucked ends with production ushering everyone out.